You've heard the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. Doesn't that feel a little bit like the real estate market? Over the last several years, the prices of real estate have skyrocketed, and people just kind of keep waiting that eventually the prices are going to come down. They're waiting for something to change. They're waiting for something to shift. But with millions of homes still in demand that haven't been built at these prices, you're just going to keep waiting. Which is why today I want to share with you 5 different ways to buy real estate for under $100,000 a home. And I'm going to warn you, we had to get a little bit creative because the average home in America is selling for over $400,000. So if you want real estate to be affordable again, try one of these 5 solutions. My name is Kris Krohn, and I've been building this channel for a hot minute. And it's dedicated to helping you invest in real estate, specifically in single-family real estate. The most important financial choice you're ever going to make your entire life is buying a home. And just as long as you don't sell those homes every time you're ready to move into a different home, you're going to build wealth with time. In fact, if you want to know how most people become accidental millionaires, it's because they moved 2, 3, or 4 times in their life and they never sold the house that they were living in, which means they've built a small portfolio of rentals with now over $1 million of equity. Before I can launch into 5 different homes that you can buy for under $100,000 a piece, let's make sure we're really clear on the crisis. According to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, we are currently missing 6.8 million homes in this country. And it's going to take the better part of a decade to actually build all of those homes and keep up with the demand that still continues to mount. Now, that's just a part of the problem that is driving these prices higher, higher, and higher. How high? Well, in the last 12 years, since 2012, we've seen the median home price of real estate across the country go up by 45%, with the new national median of $416,000. And yet we've only seen rent increase by 17% in the last 5 years. It hasn't quite caught up. When you put all this together, it means that we're going to be behind on building homes for the next decade, and it also means that as long as rates come down, we're going to see the price of real estate continue to go up, which means there's a bigger reason today more than ever before to figure out the solution. How do we help people buy real estate if prices are going to keep climbing for the next decade? Let's explore the top 5 ways. The first solution we're going to talk about is 3D printed homes. Big problems create big solutions. And if you remember what happened during the pandemic, everyone was screaming about supply chain, the cost of everything, the cost of wood and the cost of nails and the cost of this and that and windows and glass. Everything went up higher and higher and higher, and it made the cost of real estate more expensive. Icon is an innovative company that came out and said, hey, what if we were to remove labor and actually just 3D print the homes out of concrete with a really large 3D printer? Now, this is a brand new concept, and they're building entire communities out of concrete, composite materials, and other eco-friendly options. These homes can literally be printed in under 24 hours for as little as $10,000. Huge communities have been going up in Austin, Texas, because Icon has been collaborating with Habitat for Humanity, focusing on making homes affordable at entirely new levels. Here's some of the advantages. It's super cost effective, right? It's going to be a lot less than traditional construction because you don't have people building a home, you have a machine doing it for you. You can also build a home significantly faster. You can make it far more eco-friendly, but there are going to be some disadvantages. You're going to have a lot of limitations on design input. Technology is still maturing in this space, and there's going to be some regulatory challenges as far as code and compliance go. But it is real, it is here, and it is happening, and it is really inexpensive. For our second option, let's talk about the updated version of a mobile home called a modular home. Listen, I don't think anyone wants to say that they live in a mobile home park, but modular homes are starting to become quite a bit of a craze. In fact, large companies like Amazon, Home Depot, they're now offering complete modular homes between $5,000 and $50,000. Home Depot even under $100,000. If you've ever lived in a mobile home park or you've driven by one, it's not the most attractive setting. I think they often have a reputation for being less safe places, although less expensive. But we have new communities popping up everywhere for these modular homes. These days, they can be nicer, they can be more high-tech, and it's more mindful. It's human beings that are saying, you know what, maybe we don't need the biggest house, let's actually go more minimalistic. When you buy a modular home on Amazon, Home Depot, or wherever they're being sold, they often have a do-it-yourself assembly kit. These homes can often be delivered in a matter of weeks as opposed to taking a year to build a home, and there's room for customizability and even scalability because you can add on to them. Think of it like a house that's a kit that you order that's been prefabricated and you just need to receive it and set it up. There are some disadvantages. It requires land and some on-site preparation. You have to be able to connect your utilities like your water, your sewage, and your electricity. That's not going to be included. But you can't beat the price. This is not your parents' mobile home park. Like, some of these are quite attractive. More important, they're functional, and some of them even have that hip new age look. Your third option is to build a tiny home. And tiny homes normally start at $30,000 and they can often be built for under $100,000. So think about it. When you compare that for just a moment to $416,000 US average price of real estate nationwide, this is a bit of a home run, and it leaves a lot of room for customizability. Your home is going to be small though. It could be 150 square feet up to maybe 400 or 500 square feet. And millennials and retirees, they're the demographic that is most being targeted for this. And we have communities popping up of tiny home owners. Now, there's a lot of advantages with the tiny home. It's affordable, it's environmentally friendly, it has low utility costs, like literally your utilities could be 85% less than a traditional home, and it does encourage this minimalistic living. In other words, it's like, hey, let's focus on what really matters in life, and it may not be materialism. But there are some definite disadvantages. You've got zoning restrictions in many urban areas, you have limited storage and living space, and you might have some potential resale challenges because you got to find someone that says, I'm looking for a tiny home. Now, these tiny home communities, they're attractive. They're newer, they're set up nicer. It definitely doesn't look like a mobile home park. It just looks like a neighborhood of tiny houses. And it's attracting a clientele that has different priorities in life than maybe the American dream of, we want it really big, and we want it fancy, and we want it nice. It's a way to get your foot in the door. Now, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're watching this video and thinking, geez, Kris, these are kind of extreme options. They're weird options. They're kind of the road less traveled options. Don't you have anything normal for getting a really good price on like normal real estate? And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a way that you can get into normal real estate, what you and I are used to, for the lowest price possible and even avoiding the bank. So hang tight, I got you. All right, option number 4 is a shipping container home. Literally, my brother who lives in this neighborhood built a shipping container home in his backyard. It's kind of what it sounds like. It's a shipping container. Like when you think of we're crossing the ocean and we've got these big waterproof containers that we store stuff in, people buy these containers and then basically retrofit them into houses. Now, often these are going to be 160 to 320 square feet, so it's going to be a tiny home, and the cost is going to probably range somewhere between $15,000 and $50,000. These are often really great for people that are looking for more rural or off-grid design patterns. We want to be solar, we want to be on a water recycling system, like we don't want to be plugged into a neighborhood. And so with that, it's going to be eco-friendly. You're going to be able to reuse those steel containers, right? It's going to be durable because you could literally take that and bury it underground. That's how some people do their underground like prepper storage. It's going to be highly customizable, but you're going to have some challenges as far as insulation, temperature regulation. When my brother built his, they did find a way to insulate it. You have to watch out for rust and maybe other structural issues because you got to get it placed just right on the ground. You got to have some footings underneath there. And again, you're going to struggle with limiting space with this option and frankly, most of the 5 options that I'm talking about today. But check this out. You can get creative. It is like linking logs or Legos. It's like I can stack it this way, I can stack it that way, I can make it look this way, look at that. There's some people make these homes look pretty modern and pretty hot. And at the end of the day, it's another option for a lot less money. This 5th one might shock you. It's about converting commercial real estate, right? By the year 2030, it's estimated that 25% of malls in the United States are going to close. And this option is about converting an empty mall or an office space or a warehouse into residential apartments. What's cool about this is that the conversion can literally be 30% cheaper than new construction. And check out some of the benefits. It utilizes existing infrastructure. It might be able to put you more central in town, so you might get lucky with location. It definitely addresses the urban housing shortage, and you're definitely going to have shorter construction times. Challenges? Well, there's going to be some zoning laws, and there's going to be some permitting delays, and there's going to be some retrofitting costs and plumbing and HVAC and things like that. And you could even get some kickback from resistance in the community that are basically saying, we don't really, this was zoned commercial, do we really want that turning residential? So it's going to get a little hairy, but all of these are different ways of addressing the 6.8 million homes that we have demand for in this country, which has been driving the price of real estate higher and higher and higher until we solve that. Now, all 5 of these options reduce the financial barrier to ownership. They encourage environmental sustainability, and they empower buyers. Different options than we were raised with. But let's talk about the bad of it. You're definitely going to have some regulatory and some zoning hurdles. You're gonna have some public perception or non-traditional housing issues. Like you might be watching this and be like, Krohn, I don't wanna live in a shipping container, or I don't know if I really envision myself living in like a tiny home. I didn't say they were the most attractive options, but you have to admit, if $400,000 is like the average price of real estate, and you're just like, I'm trying to literally set some roots down somewhere or do it a little different, are there options? Those are 5 real options that are under $100,000, and some of them are cheap, like under $50,000. Now, I did promise you that I was gonna give you more of a normal option, as in like, Kris, when I drive around neighborhoods, like what about normal homes? There's 2 problems that arise. The first one is the price of real estate, and the second one is interest rates. Well, there's a strategy that I've been using for the last 20 years where I find a really good deal on a house below market and I assume someone else's mortgage using a strategy called a lease option. And it's where I go to existing owners and I basically say, hey, will you sell the home to me on terms? I give them a specialty kind of contract, and it's a way for me to get either a lower purchase price, or it's a way for me to leverage their existing loan back when they were at 3, 4, or 5%, which allows me to lower my options and get into a house all without using a bank or traditional down payment options. This level of creativity is what actually got me into real estate in the first place. In fact, I became a multimillionaire in my 20s, starting with no money as a broke college kid, because I had to get creative to say, how do I bypass banks? How do I bypass the need for down payments? And how do I own real estate? By the time I graduated college, I had 25 homes. Each of those homes was rented out. I had an excess of $400 or $500 of positive cash flow in each one of them. And by the time they were all rented out, they were bringing me in collectively around $12,000+ every single month. It meant that when I graduated college, I no longer needed a job. I had a different option. I created that option for me. And you might be interested in creating that option for yourself. And it gives you a couple of options. Either you can look at this and say, wow, I actually want to get in on a piece of real estate creatively the way Kris is talking about. Kris, teach me how to do that. Let me show you in just a second. Or you might say, actually, Kris, what if I want to become an investor? Like, what if I don't want to work my whole life for somebody else? What if I want to get creative and learn how to acquire real estate for little to no money? Because if I get enough homes and they're all rented out, then it's going to pay for my living. Whether it's a primary residence for you to live in, or whether you want to become an investor, I want you to click the link below and get a free copy of my book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. This book has created millionaires. Whenever I travel, people come up to me and they love to tell me the wealth they've created. One of the last times I was at the airport, I was heading on a mission trip to Guatemala for my foundation, and a stranger came up to me and said, you don't know who I am, but I made millions of dollars off of your real estate strategy. Well, I'm here to give you that book. And if you click the link below, request your copy of The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth, and let me show you how to acquire real estate for little to no money. Let me show you how to get discounts. Let me show you how to bypass banks. Let me show you how to get in the game in a world where it's gotten harder, but it's definitely not impossible. Together, we can get it done. Click the link below, grab your copy of the book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth, and let's get you started on your journey today. Okay, Kris, not bad. I see your perspective. I mean, you did give me 5 options for how to acquire real estate for $10,000, $50,000, or $100,000. But what if I don't even have that and I still want to invest in real estate and become an investor like you? Well, check it out. If you even have $3,000, I can show you how to become an investor today. Click right here, watch this video. It's amazing how you can become a successful investor today for only $3 grand.